everybody, Karis here, and I'm in Paonia, Colorado. So, Paonia, Colorado is pretty much fairy country, and I know about fairy country because I have lived in it before when I lived in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia a couple years ago and taught at a Waldorf school for a year, or Waldorf-inspired school for a year. Very good experience, very much fairyland. Incarnated fairies are drawn to these areas. They're usually very naturally beautiful. I will give you a panorama at the end of this video, I promise. I know I've been forgetting lately. But things that happen in fairyland, and to some extent all of the world is fairyland, but there are places where this energy is concentrated. Some of the things that happen are, for instance, it's really hard to do work with technology. Your phone goes dead, you lose your phone, your computer stops working. In my case, your camera starts deleting things. The internet connection is hard to get. You just can't really think in a linear way when you do sit down to do work. So that has been happening to me the past few days. Also, the land changes underneath you. So, for instance, you might want to go to one spot and then discover that actually that's not going to happen because the road you thought you were on has transformed into another road, and now you are going somewhere completely different, which ends up amazing and magical and beautiful, but it wasn't what you planned because the land has a mind of its own. That kind of stuff can happen. And so that explains some of my MIA-ness lately, so I'm sorry, but it has been a really good time. And tomorrow I'm leaving here with a new traveling companion that you guys have already seen in another video, and we're gonna go to a hot spring, I think, because there are lots of those around here. And I think we're gonna sneak the camera in, because I don't think they officially say that you're not supposed to have the camera in this place, but I don't know how they would feel about it, so I think we're just not going to ask permission because, as you probably already know, it is always better to say I'm sorry than may I, especially when you're talking about things like old paradigm, new paradigm rules. Okay, now on to the point of this video. I'm finally doing a video for you guys about the decks of cards that I use. Okay, so a friend of mine named Sarah came to visit me one day and brought her mermaid cards with her, and I loved them, but I knew that they weren't for me. And usually, I can't use tarot cards. I know people can give super amazing tarot card readings, but kind of the same way as when I try to use a pendulum to answer a question, the pendulums get angry at me and accuse me of being lazy, and so just give me very confusing answers, and they say, Karis, why don't you just find your own darn answer? Why do you ask us? And tarot cards are kind of the same way for me generally. Whenever I've gotten a tarot deck and tried to use it, it'll tell me things like, well, it's bright outside because it's 12 noon. Well, thanks, I already knew that. So they're very accurate, but they don't generally give me information that I didn't already know. That is not always true. Like I said, there are exceptions. I know people can give really amazing readings. Anyway, so these I saw when I was looking at the publisher who published the Mermaid deck. And these cards are actually two decks that I bought because first I found one called Goddesses and Sirens. They're both by Stacey Demarco. So this is the Goddesses and Sirens book. And you can see Stacey Demarco, badass, incredible goddess there. And I saw this one and I thought, oh, that looks really good. I think I want to own and use that. And then on the same page, I saw the Gods and Titans deck, again, by Stacey Demarco. And I thought, oh, I really want to get that one. And shuffle them and use them both at once, because one of my big missions lately in various ways with various collaborators has been to be uniting divine masculine, divine feminine in lots of ways within ourselves, in our interactions with others, etc., etc. And so this is the cover to the goddess cards, okay? This is the cover to the god cards. And I shuffled them together, and now they are mine, and I use them, and they're amazing, and they kind of give a 3D effect. So when you look at them for a long time, you start to notice things about the background. And what I like to do when I get a new deck of cards, especially oracle cards, because tarot cards all have similar meanings, but oracle cards are very different. And I'm pretty decently well versed in different deity myths, but not as well as I will be once I get this deck well in my head. But what I do usually at first is go ahead and look up the meanings and look up why each god or goddess or titan or siren is what they are, and then look at the card to find my own associations. And eventually I won't need to look in the books anymore because I will have memorized it. But there are a lot of cards. I have not pulled every card in this deck yet. Because you can see it's a pretty big deck of cards at this point. It's 2 of them, you know. So what I do is I don't carry them in the box anymore because obviously they won't fit. And so I was gifted this beautiful purple cloth that I wrap them in. All right, so let me pull a card for you guys. Let's see, what should we ask? Let's ask about the transition of the fall. Right now I feel like the fall, it feels like you're in pupa, cocoon, caterpillar going into butterfly stage, but without a cocoon. And so you're just going under all these transformations and tests and challenges and successes and rewards and everything, but with no cocoon. So you're just all like writhing out in the open air. That's what it feels like to me, which is not a good or bad thing, but it is intense. So let's talk about that. Oh, and also while I'm shuffling, since that is part of what I've been thinking about this morning, I'm formulating a class for November, which will be on the magic of withdrawing for the winter. And I've already started to make it. Oh, it's going to be good. Weekly rituals for self-care, daily rituals for self-care, methods of going within, daily meditations for finding out what you want to create next year, setting intentions for it, that kind of thing. It's going to be really fun. And I'll put the link below this video in the info section on the YouTube channel once it's up for registration. And I'll probably record another video about it. Okay, so a card for you guys about autumnal transformation is, ooh, it's one of the god cards. Okay, ooh, and a goddess card right under it. All right, I'll pull both. Meanwhile, I'll let them charge here on the leaves because, oh, this is a magical tree I'm under right now. Okay, so, oh, interesting. I hadn't pulled this goddess card before, and I kind of had wanted to because I like these guys. Okay, so the Ra card is power. See that? Ooh. The Valkyries are redemption. Okay, so what I would interpret these as, because I do know a little bit about both of these. I know that Ra is the sun god in the Egyptian pantheon and some of his various antics and stories. But since this would be a really long video if I were to read you the entire description, I will look it up a little bit. Of course, it opens right to it. That's fantastic. Okay, so I'll just read you the heading, okay? So for the Ra card, it's know that you have power and it is real. This card is an invitation to be your most vital self and develop your power from the inside out. And what I notice in this is that it looks like he's leaving, like he's slowly walking away toward an entrance point. Those 2 pillars are an entrance point, and they're taking him to the pyramids, which are very magical and powerful places. But he is looking back over his shoulder, and he seems to be leaving with reluctance. So this, to me, does symbolize the pupa without a cocoon, pupa no pupa, or pupil of the universe, right? Stage that we find ourselves in. Okay, and then the Valkyries, and I do know that Valkyries are demigods that would come and get the soldiers from the field of battle and take them to a particular afterlife that was special for them. Okay, the Valkyries card is, it is never too late to change, regret is useless, forgiveness may be necessary, bravery is valuable. And yeah, these goddesses would come get the bravest of the dead warriors from the battlefield and take them to either live with Odin in Valhalla or with his goddess, his equal Freya, in the field, on the field of warriors, which was Folkvangar? Not really sure how to pronounce that. And what I'm noticing about this card is that it's the Valkyrie leaning over the warrior as he is fighting. But you can't really see who he's fighting, so this to me represents that we're all doing internal battling. And behind her is the light of, I would say, the divine coming down from the sky. And also, in the Ra card, it's coming from behind his head. So that's cool. So I would say that this is power. Don't be scared of your power. Use it. Keep yourself in check. And the Valkyries is redemption, because I think we're battling with a lot of shadow right now. We're integrating our shadow aspects. And so it's have power, don't hide it, and don't be too hard on yourself. Just do your best, because as you integrate your shadow aspects, there's going to be stuff that comes out of nowhere that you're going to wonder why you just said or did that, or maybe accidentally hurt people's feelings or hurt your own feelings, or be too hard on yourself or be too hard on others. And try to just stay in the moment as best you can, knowing that there are challenges and knowing that this is a time of rejuvenation. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm getting over a gnarly head cold that had me totally laid up for about a day and a half. And it was very obvious that it was a clearing. It was not some germ I picked up. It was stuff coming out of my throat chakra that had to do with me not speaking my truth over the course of this incarnation, which now I will not be allowed to do anymore. Okay, on that note, let me give you guys a view of where I am here. Check out this beautiful tree. Yeah, and then the mountains over there. All the beautiful colors of fall. Very much loving it. And of course, this amazing blanket of leaves. Someone just told me that they used to throw parties and bring a bunch of leaves inside to